Well, welcome, Broc Raiford. You've already done an Unclicked.
The Broc Raiford.
The Broc Raiford.
I don't know about the, but the name still stands.
Deez Broc Raiford.
There you go.
Thank you for doing the rainy drive down. Hopefully not too much traffic on the way back either. I know that's going to be hard. So
yeah, it wasn't too bad. I mean, people tend to drive a little differently in the rain, but it's kind of nice to make use of the rainy day because I think it's supposed to be raining back up in Long Beach as well. So easy drive down. So
cool.
Stoked to be here.
And you did the original Unclicked.
I did the one that happened at Dennis's house.
Audio only, right?
Audio only, I believe. Yeah, no video.
Raw.
Yeah. So early one before Dennis quit. Before the video.
I know, right? It's kind of made quite the change now, but yeah. I mean, still stoked to be here with you guys, man. This is cool.
It is funny. It is funny how it's like I didn't even start the podcast. Like it's like not mine, but it's just like
here we are.
It's literally Dennis's stuff.
Yeah.
So
well, he started something great, and then now you guys are kind of just rolling with it. No, so I mean, it's
I'm riding coattails. I'm just riding the coattails.
Yeah.
Right?
Same.
I don't know. It seems like you're being a great co-host now.
Appreciate it, man.
No, it's cool.
Appreciate it.
So if anybody's interested for a full Unclicked, they should go back through the podcast stuff and they can listen to the Unclicked. Obviously, there's lots of changed. You got a shiny new hat and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was about to say I don't know if that one's completely up to speed with what's current in my BMX career, but I mean, hey, that's a good look at what was going on then, and hopefully we'll be able to cover some newer stuff now even as well. Yeah.
So the focus of this one is definitely going to be about new video part Strike. Mm-hmm. And it is an Odyssey part, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So we'll run through that. But what else has been going on?
As of lately, man, I've just been super focused on continuing to film and just kind of focus on my health. And I don't know, really, that's it. As far as lately, kind of BMX is just taking the full focus. And I'm loving it, man. It's been super fun to get out with Zach pretty often. I'm working on a few other projects as well. And yeah, it's great. I'm looking forward to the new year. Cool.
And you... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no. You made a very, very, very strong comeback, even though it was like you've always been a powerful rider, but after your knee injury, like I've always kept up with you, always been a fan, not just as a friend, but like as a real fan. But like, do you feel after your injury, you felt that you need to step it up in a sense of like body-wise or on your health?
I don't know if I saw a sense of like needing to step it up as much as it showed me how much you could do for yourself and how much better you can feel as a like byproduct of that. Because like throughout my knee injury, I didn't really have much else to do other than do physical therapy, train the other parts of my body as much as I could, and do anything else. Look for spots, plan for future projects. And that just kind of started the snowball effect of like, well, hey, if I can do this when I'm injured, what happens if I continue doing this post-injury when I'm back riding? And then that kind of just added to that momentum. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'm not one to look at myself as like, yeah, I made a big comeback, but I think that definitely has a lot to do with like how I came back into riding after that. And I think that helped me a lot, push things forward.
Yeah, let's see.
Seems like it does go one way or the other for a lot of people, where it's like it becomes a motivator or it becomes a thought that is in the back of your head, mm-hmm. Where you're like, I'm gonna chill on this,
and the type of injury it was too. It's like a knee injury is like the scariest thing.
Yeah, I mean it's brutal. I mean there's no way to have a shortcut or anything. I mean it was 9 months of like strictly no riding, and then when that 9-month mark hit, it was like light riding. It was like pumping a bowl. That's it, riding. Mm-hmm. And with the work that I just spoke about, up until that point, I thought I was gonna come back as Superman on that when that 9th month hit. And when I started pumping that bowl, I was gassed out. My muscles were tired. And I was like, man, that really put things in perspective because of all of that work that I did through physical therapy and training to get back on my bike, to feel still so like base level fitness wise and like how I felt. I was like, wow, I couldn't imagine what it would have been like if I just rode the couch, and that's when things really clicked. Like, man, like, if all that work got me here, like I couldn't imagine doing anything else. And that just kind of spilled over into the rest of my life. It was kind of like I learned a lesson there. So
that's cool.
Really
guzzling some beer on the couch too would definitely do you real dirty. So.
Yeah, man. I mean, hey, nothing against that if that's your thing. And don't get me wrong, like I had a lot of fun during that time as well because it allowed me time to hang out with my friends, do things that I normally wouldn't get to do because I'd be traveling or working on video parts or, you know, trying to get good sleep to ride the next day. So it did allow me, you know, to have those fun party nights with my homies and stuff, but obviously still staying really focused on getting my knee back, because ultimately that's what we all try to do, right? When we're injured, we want to get back to riding. So that was always kind of the highest priority. And if there was a fun Saturday night, then that's just what it was. And then we got right back to it on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all the way back until the next weekend, and then see what we got into the next one.
Nice.
Cool. Well, should we talk about Redbull? Because I feel like you have an interesting timeline of like getting on Redbull, at least from my perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, right. It's something that everybody's super curious about, and as was I as a young rider, you know. It's been an amazing opportunity from the beginning. You know, like it's been a dream of mine since a young kid, as probably many people that have gotten that maybe have not. But for me, you know, like it did take a good bit of time. You know, they started talking with me about 4 years before I got signed. Yeah. And, you know, during that time, there was ups, downs, arounds, sideways, injuries.
That injury happened before.
Exactly. Like almost immediately before. And I mean, it has been talked about that how I handled that situation may or may have not shown the right people that my mindset was right.
Okay.
And, you know, I mean, again, that's not the sole thing that was like, hey, you got it, you know, but again, there's been hints, and, you know, I mean, even I felt that I was better along as an athlete and a rider post knee injury with where my mindset was that we just spoke about, to where like I could see those two things linking up. So,
because I guess from my perspective, Red Bull was like backing you in certain ways where they were like they were featuring you and like the Ratitudes type stuff and things like that in that series. And it was like after like a year or something, I'm like, they're gonna put them on, and there was nothing. You know, like it was like all right, like it's not gonna happen. You know, and then it was like, oh, they're still doing something with it. And, you know, like it was a weird. You know, because they were actually like flying you places too.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah. So I had gotten flown out to Simple Session a couple of times with their support, and that was really cool. You know, just to even have someone pay for your flight to go anywhere in the world is awesome, no matter if it's going to turn into something or not. So I was super appreciative of that. But again, as a young rider, and it being a dream of mine and something that I was looking forward to, or, you know, wanting and pursuing so much, you know, getting that sort of kind of like side eye look like, hey, you know, we're kind of going to flow you this and see what you do with it sort of situation was like, I don't want to say promising, but it was definitely like it put the fire under my ass.
Was there a time period you're like, it's going to happen? And then you got let go, and you got let down? No, there
was never a point in the 4 years where I was like 100% certain that it was going to happen, you know, and
because they do those things where like the helmet's there and you're like, I'm walking around this corner right now, there's going to be the helmet, you know, because it did happen eventually.
Eventually, you know, and when Terry Adams presented me the hat, it was completely unexpected, because up until that moment, you know, like I didn't ever want to put myself in the situation where I was going to expect it and then it not happen, because then that's how your feelings get hurt and things like that. So I always just kept myself on the appreciation side of things with all the support that they were giving me. But I never wanted to step beyond that and be like, oh, it's going to happen because they're doing this for me.
Yeah. That moment felt so sick. It's like watching it almost made me cry. Not even kidding. Because like I know you, but at the same time, when a person can show like that genuine vulnerability to like something that they really, you know, are proud of. So it's to see it, it's like, dang, you really, like, you can tell you really appreciated it like that.
I mean, you know, like I could get choked up right now talking about it, man. I mean, that was just raw emotion captured in that video, you know. And again, I think beyond that, the complete and utter surprise of it, because Terry was about to do a hop whip in running shoes. So I was completely thrown off in that moment of that video, to where there was not a doubt and like no thought in my mind that I was like, oh, I'm about to get a Red Bull hat right now. I was like, Terry, why are you about to hop whip in like soft, unprotected running shoes? And he was like, oh yeah, let me go change my shoes. And he went back inside, grabbed the hat, and came out with it.
He's also like too, to add more to like that specific situation. Terry Adams has been on Red Bull longer than just about anybody, right?
Yeah,
I believe he's well over 10 years.
Yeah, he's like
the longest BMXer is Sanad Grosick because he was like, at least in the States, like, that's weird that I know this stuff. This is such random. Weird. But like Jerry Bagley, I know was because of the Doyle podcast that he did with him. Jerry Bagley was the first dude in the States, but Sanad Grosick is from Austria, and he like knows the board members or like one of the
Terry's
founders.
Been on the longest.
Yeah, Terry's been on the longest in the States, I would imagine.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
that would totally make sense.
Is like he's like fucking I don't know what you would call it, but like a statesman of Red Bull, you know, where
That's
he
awesome.
he just kind of does his thing and they back him, and it's just like a lifelong thing. It seems.
Well,
like.
from that
That's
to come
super
from
sick.
Terry too, like that's what like that was leading up to like to get your hat from Terry.
Oh yeah.
In New Orleans.
Yes.
So it's like
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, yeah, for those of you who don't know, Terry and I are super close, and he's always been a mentor of sorts to me, as well as a great friend. And, you know, to have him present that hat to me as someone else from Louisiana that's not only a pro BMX rider, but a pro rider that rides for Red Bull, you know, to give me that hat was just so meaningful, you know. And then, you know, with everything I said, with Terry giving it to me, it being a lifelong dream to it finally happening, and, you know, all that hard work paying off, it hit me out of nowhere, and I couldn't help but not have the waterworks going, you know. And I think, you know, that video explains like how appreciative I am of it completely.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Terry's a good one for the podcast too. If he watches this,
he's amazing.
He'd be a great one.
I can make that happen, man.
Yeah.
My phone's on Do Not Disturb, but I can send that message right now.
No, that would be cool for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's cool. Red Bull is obviously pinnacle stuff, you know, so that's cool. And then obviously you've gotten to do a couple cool projects. I want to see more though. I know the float thing got a little bit, some PR stuff happened with that, and it kind of like lost its, you know, you killed it in that whole thing, and it kind of sucked. That kind of stuff went wayside for a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like we filmed it right before everything happened.
Yeah.
Like the whole,
there's
you know,
some like accidents with the floats, like so somebody I don't
yeah,
even know the
there
details.
was float accidents, but then also that was right before the whole pandemic happened as well.
Yeah.
So that kind of everything kind of went
happened at the
upside
same
down right at that moment. And I mean, you can't do anything about that, you know, but Red Bull's awesome, and they were super supportive of me and my ideas throughout that entire process. Like, it was so cool to have them just be behind every idea that I had. And because I have an iPad Pro that I can draw on, and they actually took me to that float warehouse and were like, all right, like, what's your vision? And I was just like, whoa. You know, imagine as a rider, like, you know, just, you know, a sponsor or someone taking you somewhere and just being like, all right, here's a mall. What do you want to ride?
Yeah.
You know, and then you just being like, dang, you know,
it's to create a level on a video game, right?
Yeah, it's almost like being called on your bluff. You're like, all right, what could I? You're like, oh, well, and the pressure's on.
And that's why that iPad's such a useful tool, because I can take pictures of everything. And as riders, I can be like, oh, let's put a rail here, a ramp here. And you guys can see the vision of jump to wall ride and then grind the rail, right? But, you know, being that there's other people involved at Red Bull that maybe aren't so familiar with BMX as, like, you know, in the core sense, I can take that iPad, take a picture of, you know, a ledge, or, you know, in this sense, the floats, and draw actually on the pictures themselves and be like, okay, here's a platform, here's a rail, here's the ramp. I can draw the measurements on it, and then I can show them. And that gives them a, like, direct look into my imagination of what I'm seeing. And that's just such a useful tool. And it's funny that, like, now there's guys that I work with that also got iPads, and that's how we communicate. We just draw on these pictures and send them back and forth. So
that's cool.
Yeah, and then that leads into, I'm going to be working on more projects with them as well going into this new year.
Good to hear.
That's great to hear.
That's awesome. Well, what's up with Tough World?
Tough World. So
because I feel like that was a neat project. You were going hard with that during the. So is that still kind of cranking along?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's totally run by me as far as I actually have a guy named Ryan Herrera at Never Learning Tricks. He prints the shirts. He's also a BMX rider, super cool guy. And then my buddy Jake Rodriguez shoots all the promo photos for me. So it's just me and those guys working together to do everything on the back end. And then I receive the shirts, I ship the shirts, I write the notes and everything. So it's taught me so much about business in that regard. But yeah, it's something that is a way for me to be creative outside of BMX and put my artwork on t-shirts and make a little bit of profit off it to do some cool stuff. Hopefully maybe throw some jams or yeah, I'm just trying to really put a lot of effort into that, especially going into this new year, just because like, I don't know, there's definitely a good group of people that support it. And I just see a lot of cool things happening from that and where I can put jams on maybe in New Orleans or even out here in California. So just something, it's kind of just like for me, and I do it for myself, and it's really fun.
Cool. Nice. I mean, I could keep running through things, but
we can do like
Yeah.
I mean, Long Beach life.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, Long Beach
I always
life's
feel like Long Beach. It feels like it slows down, and I'm like, oh, are people going to be there still? But it's like there's still a hefty crew of riders there.
Absolutely, and it almost comes and goes. Like I'm not that I'm the first person to ever realize this, but it comes and goes in generations. Like there was I guess maybe one of the first is the Jeff Z generation.
Yeah, like Arteline and Wilkie and stuff like that.
I mean, I'm not so familiar.
That's before pre generation.
Yeah, Jeff just learned me on his vision or version of Long Beach, and then it was kind of the Mastroni crew, the OSS crew.
Yeah.
And then it kind of went into what was Disco Stew and like my friends' generation, and then now there's the like Speedy G, there's Milky, Ison, there's like this whole now younger generation moving into Long Beach that will carry the baton on until the next younger crew comes up. So it's just really cool to see it being such a place that provides for BMX. I mean, all action sports. I mean, you see skaters, scooters, bike riders there, but it's just cool to see it provide for generation on generation.
Yeah.
Is there a shortage of spots? I feel like
in Long Beach. No. Like
filming spots, I guess. Like is it I feel like it's been
that
picked to
depends
pieces.
on your idea of a spot.
Yeah.
And your motivation to make the spot rideable.
Ooh, Mastroni effect.
I would, yes, absolutely. Complete respect to Mike, but Mike sometimes would maybe add things to spots to make them interesting. Or, I mean, he's also one of the first dudes I saw like cut something off, which it kind of spawns into now. Like there's spots that like maybe have been blocked for a sign with a sign for forever, and it's super easy to just take a crescent wrench out of your bag that you would use to work on your bike and just like loosen up the bolt and move the sign to the side, and then now it's a completely not untouched, but a less ran through spot.
Yeah.
And I just think if you change your perspective up a little bit, there's like so much stuff that's still so untapped in Long Beach, and I don't know. That's kind of where my mind's been lately, is just kind of not looking for the perfect skate park down rail, but maybe it's like, oh, you could lift up this lid and then now it's a bank to rail, or maybe you can jump straight over the fence now or whatever. So
you can jump straight over the fence.
Right. It's funny, I was talking to my my little nephew. He was his dad was like, oh, he's trying to bunny hop, and I showed him pulled up your Instagram, you bunny hopping over the dude coming the other way, and I was like, look how he compressed it, like just exaggerate it, like, and using you as the example of like, and then I was like explaining how the wrist roll, how you like say at a point like,
you like pick up almost.
Yeah, you do. I would not me, but yeah, I've never had that. I've never had my bike from a bunny hop.
That might just be a result of having literally not very many spots in my hometown in Louisiana, so I just hopped over stuff for fun, just to have some entertainment. So.
Is your dad still out here? I'm actually, you mentioned Disco Stew. So Disco Stew was like build up to the video, gone,
and then like Barcelona.
Yeah.
Man, that was some of the best times of my life. Me and a bunch of my friends, Josh Clemens, Sean Sealing, Nick Crower, Taylor Sealing, Brady Tweedy, Scotty McDade, Colin Bajella, all my friends like lived in like a very close vicinity of each other in Long Beach, and we were just out riding all the time. And then the dudes from San Francisco, Colin and Scotty, would fly down often, or we would go up and see them. And so we were just stacking footage constantly. And then, you know, as life goes, you know, things switch up, people move, jobs change. And unfortunately, you know, like, not saying that Disco Stew is dead, but people just kind of went in their separate directions. And unfortunately, I feel like Disco Stew is now a thing of the past, but it was still really cool to have those videos to look back on now as some like really good times with like close friends. You know, it wasn't for a sponsor, or we weren't doing it for anybody else but ourselves.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's definitely, it seemed like there was, did the videos ever even make it online? I know there's the raw cuts.
I'm like pretty sure the parts are online.
They are online?
Yes.
Okay. I know
individually.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
That was like, yeah, it was funny because it was, when I was scanning through, it was like a 43-minute raw of your footage. And that just like goes to show how much footage you guys filmed.
I mean, we were just out every day. That's just what we did. We would just go out, we'd have the camera, and, you know, Josh would film us, or we would film Josh, just whoever was willing to hold the camera. And I mean, you know, everybody's doing that nowadays, which is really sick. And I look forward to seeing those videos because, you know, like that's like a real glimpse into what those people are doing, the antics, the funny times, the bad times. Like, I don't know, I just like seeing that stuff just as much as the video parts, but it kind of gives you that glimpse into what that scene is like in that area.
Yeah. Cool. Shall we, I mean, I guess we're talking about raw section. We can go through strike. I feel like it'd be a little while. So before we started up, you mentioned before we started filming that a lot of it was a few clips were leftovers from your X Games part.
Correct.
So how does that work? Because obviously X Games part is like 90 seconds, and it's like a task to cut it down to 90 seconds at a point. So it's not necessarily leftovers.
Yes, exactly. I mean, you knock that one out of the park, you know, like during that filming period that you have to film for your Real BMX X Games part, you just want to, I mean, in my head, I just wanted to stack as much footage as I possibly could. That way at the end, we could kind of pick and choose. And then even from that smaller pile, you have to pick and choose because maybe certain clips don't fit, or maybe it pushes it outside of that 90-second guideline. And I mean, that pile of footage that you film in that time frame, I mean, is still stuff that I was really stoked on because it was stuff that I maybe thought that I would have wanted in my X Games part. So it wasn't like it was, oh yeah, I'm just going to film this like hop to peg chink on the curb and that's just what it's going to be, right? I mean, that could easily maybe go to Instagram or something, but like the clips I was filming for that was like, man, I really feel like we could do something with this. And I brought it up to Zach that maybe we could, you know, use that as part of an edit and then just film some more clips and just make it like a whole thing and then release it at the beginning of this year. And he was down to roll with it with me, and yeah, we just kind of sent it.
Cool. And you and Zach combo, bro.
That's my dude, man. Shout out to Zach.
Right,
that dude
man.
is so cool and awesome to be around.
Yeah, you guys are killing it.
Yeah.
He loves the cutty spots as well.
Yeah,
he loves the cutty spots.
I'm sure it's good as having another like keen spot eye for certain things as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Dude. Yes. Spot on. You know,
Krejmas.
Oh man, I could spend this entire time saying great things about Zach. You know, not only is he a phenomenal filmer, but he's a phenomenal friend. You know, like we spend a lot of time in the car together talking about everything between aliens, filming, you know, like just
wasn't going to be the first thing I thought you said.
just, you know, just fun stuff. And, you know, beyond that, like Zach loves spots, you know, he's got a keen eye, he's got great ideas. And also I trust his word. So sometimes if I pull something that's kind of sketchy, like it's cool because he won't let me run with it, even though he knows I want to run with it. And he'll be like, I don't know. And I love that, you know, I love to be on that level of friendship because he keeps it real and he keeps me true to what I'm trying to do, which is, you know, have my riding look good. I mean, that's what we all want to do when we're filming. So yeah, man, Zach's awesome. Like amazing filmer, amazing person to be out filming with. He's got an amazing work ethic. Yeah. Just all around great guy.
Oh yeah. Shout out to Zach.
Yeah. Shout out Zach.
Let me see if I can get my computer to work here. So we got the
spots.
Yeah.
We have the no music version of it. So hopefully we get a little tidbit out of it, and then you know, revenue, right?
Yeah.
We won't get tagged for music, right?
Oh, that's right.
So let's see if we actually have music.
You did your own art, right?
Yes,
Ooh,
correct.
That's so sick.
I did the all of the graphics that you see for the video Strike were hand drawn by that handy dandy iPad that I talked about earlier. And
so what's funny is because when I talked to you recently, you were on the plane doing the artwork for Strike, and then the video came out like literally the next day.
Yes.
Wow.
So I was, that's
What?
funny. I actually sent Fudger a picture of me drawing on the plane, like literally like just of the little tray table with the graphics on it, because I really wanted to do the graphics for the video, but sometimes, you know, you bite off a little bit more than you can chew and realize that like, oh shit, like I have to get this done by this time. And animating graphics is actually a whole nother realm beyond drawing them. So yeah, it really became a task really quick. But I mean, with something that I cared so much about for this part, and to have it be something that totally encompassed what Zach and I had a vision of, like I wanted to have that little extra layer of like, I helped do that as well.
So explain what Strike means. How the name come about? So
as we talked about earlier with the footage from the X Games part and the leftover footage from the X Games part, you know, Zach and I had that idea, but our schedules weren't really lining up, because for those of you who don't know, Zach is the in-house filmer for both Odyssey and Sunday and Fairdale. He helps with all three. And I mean, that dude's plate is always full of video editing, filming, beyond even like going out with like someone like Brett Silva, Jake Seeley, Gary Young, you know, dudes like that he has parts with. So it wasn't just really lining up. And to make the long story short, we just had to strike at the right time to film the rest of this video, or, you know, strike while the iron's hot. And then it kind of came all the way down to the wire where we only really had like 3 to 4 weeks at the end of 2021 if we had any sort of expectation that the video was going to drop in early 2022. So that's kind of where the name of the video came from. Beyond like other ideas that were thrown out there, Strike just stuck the most, because it was like, okay, we had to strike at the right time to get those clips to have the video be finished when our vision of it was supposed to come out.
That's sick.
I was almost thinking you were going to say like, oh, strike that one from like the X Games part, and then it became like
yeah, and I was trying to do my best to convey not like a bowling strike or anything like through the graphics themselves. Like I was trying to make it a little bit more like strike, like a snake striking, you know, like bang. So I don't know, I kind of gave it a little bit of edge. Huh?
All of them are bangers. Just
no.
They all are. But they are, man. You killed it.
I appreciate that, DeMarcus. Man. Thank you.
Oh yeah, let's run through, and then obviously we're going to be rewinding a whole bunch.
Raining?
It was not raining there.
But I mean, obviously the quick run up is...
Yeah, ugh. I mean, so yeah, on that one, I mean, yeah, you can pause it or whatever, and I can say a little bit about it.
Yeah.
On that one, there was no run up.
Yeah.
It was like my bike fit up there, and then it was the bank. So I really liked this clip because it was just kind of like a put your foot on, whip, and then land. And although it, you know, to some it might be just a hop whip, like I just thought it was cool that it was a hop whip in a different way, you know? It adds that little level of... oh, it wasn't just me rolling on the ground, do a hop whip, land, and ride away. Like, it was kind of like the quick start, to me, is what made it, like, a little bit cooler.
Is it... so, you could do the hop whip without going that high, right?
I
mean, is that
like... really high, bro. Like, or very thin. It's like the same width as your bike, long way. It's like a bike length.
The spot, yes, it's not very wide.
And the run up is like not even a run up.
Yeah,
so it's like,
not there.
I mean, like, but would it be acceptable for it to just be like squeak through the whip, or does it have to be like popped for you like that? Like, I mean, that's like fucking...
that's really
that's a high whip.
Yeah, I appreciate that. For me, I think in my head that was just for me to be able to aim back into the bank from the hop whip, or not bounce or double dribble and ride off, because it was still pretty high to where like riding off to flat was gonna be a huge bummer, to where like I just gave it everything I got on the hop whip. That way once it got back under me, I could angle myself and kind of aim back down the bank, because as you can see, I'm kind of perpendicular to it, to where if I hop whip straight, I would go straight off of the spot. So I don't know, this video in particular, I've just tried to mesh my riding skill with spot use. And I mean, we'll talk about that more throughout it, but yeah, that's something that I tried to focus on the most throughout this.
Strike Street.
I was just about to say you could pause that one on there.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Francis De La Pena from Full Factory rendered that sign to say Strike Street.
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Yeah, so that's not.
That's my guy right there, Francis.
Shout out Francis. I don't know if I'm oversharing there, but that spot is not
really
on 5900 East Strike Street. So don't waste your time, fellas.
If you never said anything, nobody would know. Like that's amazing.
Yeah,
he killed it.
It looks like a bit of a Gary Young spot there too. Little pocket wall or something. I mean, what about
absolutely? There's plenty of options there, which is why we necessarily maybe or maybe not wanted to give away the exact location. But yeah, shout out Francis for the amazing graphic work. If that was truly you, I heard wind of that, but don't direct quote me.
That's up Francis's alley for sure. What how often do you find yourself scanning through videos looking for street signs or business names? Skate videos or otherwise?
No comment.
Same.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's a pastime for sure. I'm like, that's in San Diego. I'm gonna look.
I might have to start doing that after this.
Where's a McDonald's and a fucking insurance company next to each other? You know, like let's look at this, or like a McDonald's and a Starbucks. There's only like
Sounds
6 of
like
those.
A good idea.
Yeah.
I might have to look into that sometime.
I never thought of that one. Yeah, right. Is this in LA or this looks like a San Fran spot or something?
It's a San Diego.
Yeah, it's like I know.
Is it really San Diego?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I'm gonna look at the fucking address. Right?
Okay, let's rewind it back to the chick. So
Zach got a crush?
No, at
Zach's
this location, Zach's awesome. His chick's great too.
Yeah.
At this location that we were riding, it's in a neighborhood. And, it's quiet, and we're out there grinding, laughing, shooting photos, just doing the normal BMX thing. And then this girl that I'm sure English was probably her second language comes out and starts communicating with us. And then she's just holding up her phone, and she's just like, photo. So we thought that she wanted like a picture with us. So, we do that, and she's like, no. And then she points at the spot, and we're just trying to figure out like if she's like mad that we're riding. Because it is close to her place in this high dollar community. And then like finally she just says influencer, and we're like, it makes sense now. She wants a photo of me riding the spot so she can be an influencer. So that is why that is kind of the situation. But again, her English was pretty broken, and like obviously we were being really nice to her and trying to like help her do her thing, but it was funny because we were going through these charades while we're trying to film the clip, because she was wanting to like get in there, like standing like behind Zach, like being where she was. So it was just cool. And then she just went back inside, and then she came back out again, wanted another one, and then she went back inside again, and then that was it.
Nice. Too funny. She tag you?
Yes.
Nice.
She tagged us, and she had the location on her thing, and I was like, we should repost that.
Too funny. A classic spot.
Yes. So with this clip,
and state on the sidewalk.
Yeah, that one, right? That I was thankful of that, like, because obviously you can't really aim when you're coming out of a hard 180. But I want to say this might be one of the oldest clips that we had filmed for this project. I mean that was one of my first frame samples of the Dark Wave for Sunday. Okay. So that's just how I know that was what like during that time frame. Yeah.
You have any issues getting kicked out of there? I know
not really. We did get kicked out, but it wasn't like immediately.
Yeah. Cuddy spot.
Yeah, cuddy spot. Just fun. Kind of shows the vibes of just being out riding.
You live really close to this.
Yeah, so if you pause it right at the end there, so that's perfect. Next to what would be my right foot, there's a palm tree. In between that palm tree and the light pole is my house. So I can see this spot from if I go out my front door, stand on the balcony, I can see this spot. So I always see, the local Long Beach dudes sessioning this, because I hear, peg chinks, manuals and stuff. So yeah, this is probably the closest clip to my place that I've ever filmed. Or just any place that I've ever lived at. But yeah, classic.
Was that
Long
hard?
Beach
Because I know
vibe.
you like switch bars are obviously hard, but how difficult was this?
During that time, I was struggling with switch bars really hard, but just like any of us as BMX riders, you want to kind of push yourself to that next level of riding. So I had not done that many fakie switch bars, nor down a 3-stair. So at this time I was just like, hey, I think it could work. And I just kind of sat there and definitely missed my hand on a few and ended up on my ass, rolling fakie. But I was really stoked to get it because it was one of those clips where I wasn't that good at switch bars, but I still kind of pushed my way through and was able to land one clean that I liked. So yeah, that was definitely a staple. But
sick.
I'd like to think I'm a little bit better at them now than I was during that point.
Audio on this next one.
Yeah. Ear warning.
Yeah. So what's up with the security guard is?
That dude,
I think he's just fiddling off.
I think that was maybe just like a cool B-roll clip, but those kids were so stoked, but they were doing that thing where they wait until you go to do the trick to yell, and you can tell in the clip.
Yeah, it's kind of
yeah, right.
You can actually see him in the on the right.
Yeah, that's an amazing ramp slow-mo.
Every time.
Yeah.
Every attempt. Because I was struggling to get the full rotation enough to like land fakie. Because a few of the times I was going fakie towards what would be the maroon Toyota van. Mm-hmm. So like it was hard to get the full rotation to go back towards the sidewalk. And that kid was not giving up. I was waiting for his voice to go hoarse. Yeah. He had the energy that day.
You can even hear him scream while you guys are high-fiving too. Yeah. He's like in there. What?
Yeah, they were wild. And the people were stoked. Like that was the dad came out and was like hyped that we were riding there. So
I love the wall bonk. I don't know if that was planned or not, but
yeah, I mean that was just kind of me being hyped on getting the clip. I just did that as an extra.
Beautiful spot usage, man. All the way around. Jeez.
Swerve in.
Yeah, so I was about to say we can talk about that and that whole scenario right there. That run-in, if you want to pause it right there. Yeah. On a few of the attempts, I clipped my bars on the yellow rail, not the air conditioner, which you would think you would hit, but because I was trying
You're leaned over
to
so much?
lean to not hit the air conditioning, I hit my bars on the yellow rail a few times, and that kind of upset me trying to do it because after you jump over it, there's another air conditioning unit that you have to clear, and so that was like a few times where like I almost could have got myself in a bad situation because you're like hauling ass running up to it and you hit your bars and you get one of those little half turn down pieces while your tires are still on the ground.
Unclicked piece.
Yeah, unclicked on the ground.
Unclicked into an air conditioner.
Yeah, so, but now I was super stoked on this clip, man. Not too many times do I ever get to like roast the toboggan like that, especially being on the same team as Brett. I have to like take mental note that I need to do a proper one. Not that I will ever be on Brett's level of tobogganism, but if I can maybe just scratch the surface, I'd be hyped. And I feel like this was one of those ones that I feel like he would definitely give me a high five on.
Toboggan for sure, yeah.
But, I was super hyped to get that, and shout out to the homie Brett. He's the man.
Oh yeah.
And then this guy right here, man. We were trying it, and I was jumping it, and the neighboring building neighboring lot is a parking lot, and this dude just pulls up in the parking lot, puts his truck in park pretty much right in the way of where I was trying to land, and so he like gets out. He was just like, "Hey, that's pretty cool," and I was like, "Thanks, man. Like, I'll do it again if you move your truck." He was like, "All right, cool." And so parks his truck, gets out, and he's just like, "Oh yeah, my chick's down the street getting her hair cut. I got a few extra dollars in my pocket. If you want to do something, I'll pay you." And so, and I was like, "You want me to jump the thing again?" He's like, "I've seen that already." And I was like, "Okay." So this could be in some extra footage somewhere that Zach has, but basically I just started doing flat ground tricks. I did a hop whip, wasn't really that impressed with it, but the fakie hop whip is what got me one of the $5 bills. And then what else was there? I did a hop truck, and shoot, I'm blanking on
this
what
guy
I
has a high set of standards.
It was crazy, because the jumping over the rail, which to us is like the thing, right? Was no, he was like, I can do that, of course, this old guy just shooting the shit. But then, yeah, it was just weird. Like hop whip forwards didn't really impress him, but the backwards one, it was like he was like, "Wow, that's pretty neat," you know. Like, so, anyways, yeah, he threw me a couple bucks, and I think later that day I treated Zach and I to Del Taco with the money. So,
nice.
yeah, I think Ison was there too as well, so we all kind of got a little meal.
Yeah,
That's a crazy one in person I've seen.
yeah, that's a freaky one.
That spot struck my eye just because it looks like it wouldn't be where it is,
Yeah.
you know, and I like that. It looks like it's almost European,
Yep.
and then the quick end out on it is cool. But another staple spot in the Los Angeles area. I mean, I can't really keep that one a secret. They got LACC right in the back, so there's a freebie for you guys.
There you go.
Yep.
I'm sure anybody could scan through any of this and probably grab something.
You're not wrong.
The pop, though. The pop on the rail is fucking fantastic, obviously.
I had to do it to get myself up on that wall ride to do the 180.
Man, that's really big in person.
How
Appreciate that.
it's hard to
It's like 9.5 feet tall.
more like the when you land, how the setup time is, like how quick it felt. You know, was it well first one and done?
No. On the 360, yes. On the down the entire setup, no. I think I jumped down it maybe 2 or 3 times before.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, the setup time is you want to go fast enough to clear the rail, but then when you land, you don't have time to set up for the 3, so you kind of have to wager how high do you pop going slowly in order to give you enough time on the roof to pop a good 3 and not like a stressful, oh my god, I'm going to nosedive, because as you can tell by the landing and me not being able to keep my front tire on the ground, it wasn't low.
Yeah, it's pretty big. I saw that like over the weekend, and it was like me and a few other friends were like looking at the spots, like, oh, you could jump over the rail and jump off the roof. And it's like I walked down to the bottom and looked and like, it's pretty tall, but you can definitely do all that. Then to like, wait a second, I've seen this.
Yeah.
And it's like I rewatched this part this morning, and it was like, oh, he did the real thing, the whole thing.
So I have a question for you guys though. How do you feel about the front wheel ricochet or the bounce, or Scott Marceau calls it a bouncy house?
Bouncy house.
When you land with a great bit of force and it bounces your front wheel up off the ground.
So I'll answer first because I'm the most forgiving one. I personally like when things are sketchy.
Whoa, what do you mean most forgiving?
Well, your level of riding and my level of riding are far different. If like I will take the sketch like on a personal level, and then when I see somebody like you or somebody Demo or anybody that I know is an incredible rider and something is a little bit sketchy, I'm like, that shit was scary. And they were like, I'm not doing that again, and I'm taking it. And so I almost appreciate it more because it's like, yo, he barely held on, and he's like, I'm fucking taking it, you know. And to me, that's like it adds to clips. Like I appreciate it, but I'm sure other people think differently.
Very similar. To me, it depends on the caliber of rider. I know that Broc is an elite rider. To see that his tire bounce showed that it was like a pretty crazy spot. Yeah. So it's like I fully am in support of the tire bounce. It's like you can tell that it's like, oh man, that was pretty big. It was pretty scary, but to land it that way, it was still super clean. You know, it's just like riding the way. It's like you can see the look on your face, like, oh yeah, all right. Here we go.
So I agree with both of you guys' views on that. You know, like with the sketch factor and being like, I'm not doing that again. I didn't really prefer to 3 off that roof again.
I mean, like I'm saying to the level of like you can have your fucking foot blow off, your hand blow off, and you ride away and you took it. Like that's it. Like,
and I mean, I guess in my idea, as long as you're still in control, post, even if you kind of get a little out of control, but then you save it, I think that's cool.
The most famous one being on your shoulder right there.
Yes.
Example of that. Like we actually talked about that just literally yesterday, like with somebody who was there. But
really?
Like I mean, it was just like, it was fucking crazy. It's over.
Yeah,
like it's
exactly.
done.
No need to
It's
do it
done.
again.
Yeah,
for sure.
like it happened. It's done.
I guess the reason I ask is just because as riders, all of us, and for those who are listening, you know, we all have a vision of how we want our riding to look, and we also have a vision of how we want the clip to look. So for me, sometimes I don't necessarily want to do that, you know, or even maybe in my skill level, I was just kind of like, I feel like I maybe could have done that better. But then again, then you start playing that risk versus reward scenario in your head. Like, I landed it. No hands or feet blew off. Yes, my front tire bounced.
But you were still in full control.
Yeah, but I don't really want to 360 off this roof again at the sake of keeping my front tire from doing the little wheelie.
Yeah.
But it still looks super controlled too. Like even with the wheel bouncing, it's like you like, okay, I know this is gonna be like a pretty big impact. So
I mean, I don't know if it's just the nature of the way the camera works or what, but like watch the flex that your bike goes through, your forks, and then look them rake out. Like just for you know, like look at the forks from that frame right there to that, and then they straighten back up.
Yeah,
like I mean, that's a cycle of the forks.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
like that's like it. I mean, it's one of those things like Lacey's 3s, like 2 tires, like they're arguably the best hop 3s in BMX. But it's like it's so savage the way he lands. Like it's like a whole level of brutal.
Puts
like,
the body and the bike through a lot.
Yeah, and it's like if people need to put the landing gear down, like it's just not gonna look as good as Lacey's. You know, it is what it is.
Yeah,
like,
Lacey has it. Yeah,
it's just one of those things.
And now in this situation with this, when this clip was filmed, this was kind of the second one in a few month period, because I'm going to refer to my X Games Real BMX part right now. I did something similar where I bounced the front wheel on a truck driver in Long Beach.
That's crazy in person too.
Why am I blanking on it?
Convention Center.
Convention
Brown
Center.
bricks
Oh, okay.
off the tall pad gap past the 3 stair. Did something very similar to what you see on the screen now.
Yeah.
And so at that time, I was like, man, why do I keep bouncing my front wheel off the ground?
They're big 360s, bro.
Them short back ends.
Yeah. But again, I mean, just as you spoke about Lacey, you know, we all have that idea of like what we want our 360s to look like. And so in those situations,
aspirational.
You know,
everybody should aspire to learn their 3s look like Lacey. Dude, the convention center one is like, that one too is so fucked.
It's like crazy big drop, but like really high hop onto it, and you have to slightly cut in too, because it's not like a straight up runaway, right? You don't just run straight into it. You have to turn.
No, it's pedal. Like a pretty crazy S bend to high speed hop, and then short setup time from high hop to truck. So again, like that kind of just feeds right back into what I was saying in the beginning, that like the spot use sort of deal also plays a factor into, maybe not so this one, because it's very like visibly, oh wow, that's a roof.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to be like, yeah, that clip was big, you know, but you can tell that the roof was high. And whereas the Long Beach one, like, you know, I feel like if you saw, just as you know, like you saw the setup, you're like, oh, okay, like the high hop and then the gap from that short run up kind of plays a factor into what makes the clip what it is.
I like that you talk about like the spot usage, and you wanted to maybe let the spot complement the trick complement the spot. But what's so good about it is that you have the ability to hop so high and have so much control that spots is on a different level when it comes to your riding. Like, and that's being realistic. I think a lot of people could try. A lot of people could probably like do it, but at the same time, it won't look the same, or it would look extremely forced, because it's like you're using the things that you're really good at and like taking spot usage to a whole nother level. Because like it's different from like riding a flat ledge with a sick like curb setup to riding a big spot, where it's like, okay, like I can tackle this and make it look sick, but also think of something cool to do on it. It's like,
I can definitely agree, but I mean, so much is to be said about pro BMX or even BMX in general to that regard. You know, everybody's kind of exploiting their expertise in that way, which pushes their riding that much beyond what's, I don't want to say basic, but what's seen, right? I mean, you know, you blow my mind every time you do a crazy fakie manual trick on a spot that I would never think that I'm about to fakie manual from this end of the block to the next, you know, like, and I just think that's what makes me love BMX so much, is we could both show up to a spot and maybe I do see the higher hop thing that I want to hop onto and do the trick off of and land heavy, you know, but then you roll up to the spot and you're like, oh man, I could grind this 180 and I can fakie manual all the way to the end of the street, or fakie manual to the next setup, and my mind is not seeing it the same as you. And I think that's what makes BMX one of the sickest things ever, because it's like our way of interpreting BMX on the same setup, right? I think that's just so sick. And I've been into like asking people that lately, like, what do you see on this spot? Because like that's just cool to hear.
It's definitely interesting. Even as like for somebody who's not good at riding bikes, like
Whatever.
going out with like I went out with Hobie. I think fuck my brain is mush. 2 days ago, it was 2 days ago. We were talking about the Ruben thing, and I walked around and I was like, oh, there's a spot over here, and I looked directly at this like little outledge thing, and I was like, nah, that's not whatever. And then he passed the spot that I was looking at, and then I was like, oh, look at this little outledge thing. I go manual drop ice one, and I'm like, that's like just not a spot to me, you know, like
Absolutely.
to me, I didn't see anything. Like literally I wouldn't show them that.
But that plays into style, plays
yeah.
into people's vision of spots, plays into how their edit is perceived the way it is, and
what they
people
filmed
like
earlier versus what they filmed now, you know,
Yeah,
like
true.
if they saw it a week ago and they did something and they're like, no, I already got something like
That's
that.
back with the Long Beach question you asked earlier about like, are there a lack of spots? Like you open up like your mind, you're growing as a rider, perspectives.
Yeah.
Like you said, what wasn't rideable before because you didn't look at it that way, but now it's like, like I see it differently.
Yeah, I mean, you have homies that ride down here that I'm sure haven't frequented Long Beach as much as we have. So maybe if you took, I don't know, it's Marcus Green, right? Your homie?
Yeah.
Maybe you took him up there and you take him to a blown out spot. His vision of BMX might be different than everybody else's that has ever looked at the convention center spot or any other super ran through spot, and he might come up with something totally new because that's his view of it. And again, that's what I think is so sick about riding is there's all these different people with their different ways of thinking looking at the same thing, because we all can see it, that there's a rail, ledge, pad, but maybe the dude jumps over the whole thing, or maybe the dude uses all three, or maybe the dude does it and goes off the curb. Like that stuff just is so sick to me lately, and maybe it doesn't interest everybody as much as it does me, but I love it so much, and that's why I watch so many bike videos and so many skate videos, because I nerd out on it so hard.
That's sick.
Nice. Is it okay if I do a bathroom break?
Yeah, go ahead. Do your
thing.
thing.
All
Right, running it back.
running back.
Warzone game number 2. Just got rezzed out the gulag.
I don't even know what you just said.
Call of Duty.
You do
That's
everything so proper,
Yeah.
man. Like, surgical.
Is there only one knob on that?
Yeah, there's
now?
only
So it used to be a bunch, right?
is it Knob Buster at Knob Buster?
I think so. Something like that.
Oh, that
Dang,
guy. Is it the guy that goes around?
Yes. So he shout out to him because he freed this spot.
Yeah.
But that was kind of his thing, is that he would always leave the top knob, and so it was kind of cool because it created that spot to be what it was to me, because I had to grind up and get out with the hard 180 before I pretty much ran into that top little nipple looking grind stopper. And then to add to what DeMarcus was saying earlier about the switch bar, this was around the same time that I had learned full cab bars well enough to have confidence to do it off of something. And so this was another one of those times, like during the filming for my X Games part, where I was like knowingly trying to push myself to be better as a rider by knowing that like I hadn't full cab barred off of anything close to as tall as a loading dock. But like in that moment I was like, well, this spot kind of lends its hand to it, so I'm just going to give it a go right now. And it was cool to walk away with that clip knowing that like I had never full cab barred off of anything close to that high. So like doing it that day, I was like, oh, that's sick that like you see the progression yourself.
Right.
So what would you say your like signature trick is?
I feel like I should let the viewers answer this.
I know what it is.
Yeah,
honestly.
it's the pegs over hard 3.
And you don't have any in this, right? Or do you?
No, none of the X Games part.
Not in the X Games part.
Is there one in here?
I think so. No, I don't. I think there's only just an ice over hard 180.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I haven't watched this in a little bit. I try not to watch myself ride too often, but I don't think there's any pegs over hard 3s. But yeah, that's just one that was pretty synonymous with my name for a little bit, just because I was doing it a lot in my earlier years, and I still love the trick.
I would argue that you almost you do it the best as well too.
Oh,
you know,
100%.
like it literally is like the
Yeah.
the power of it is like. So is it? But something that you avoid?
I wouldn't say that I avoid it. I am at the point now with the trick where I like to utilize it in a way that I haven't yet. So for me, I'm not gonna see a handicap L rail and just go and do pegs over hard 3.
Yeah.
Like if I could manual into it or bar into it, maybe. But like one of the other projects that I'm working on now, I just filmed one the other day where I went I grinded up a kinked rail and then did pegs over hard 3 at the top.
Yeah.
And like that was something that I was super stoked to get because I had yet to grind up a kink rail and then do the hard 3 over. So like that's where my mind is at with tricks like that now is, although I love the trick, I think it looks great. I love when other people do it. For me personally, I'm not just going to do it for the sake of doing it just to get the clip, right? Like I'd rather almost leave it as like maybe if another kid just learned it, then they can come and film it here rather than
just taking it for the sake of taking it.
Oh, no, I don't want to say taking it for the sake of taking it, but people have seen me do it, and they've seen me do it on that level. So where my mind's at is, yes, I can do it, and I could walk away with that clip, but is it something that I'm going to be stoked on, one, and then two, it would be cool to see someone else come to that spot and do it that maybe is a new clip to them, or maybe they just learned it and haven't done it before.
That's cool.
And hopefully by having that, I don't want to say good karma, but that will lend its hand to when I come across a spot where I can do the pegs over hard 3, then it's like, okay, I can take it at that moment because it's like, all right, this is something I haven't done yet, and I can go and get that clip.
Yeah. It's like Freebird or something, like play Freebird, like do the pegs hard 3 like literally.
Like there's been plenty times, when we roll up on spots with maybe people that I haven't been around super often, and they see the spot and they immediately like look at me, and I just like, don't say it, don't say it, don't say it.
Freebird.
Yeah, exactly. So,
yeah. All right, back to it.
Amazing clip.
Yeah, shout out Brett. That's my boy. We had, I think the night before, we were at a spot pretty late, and when he daps me up at the end, he says worms tremoy, because for the first time, I think ever for him, he had the sour gummy worms with the tremoy on it. And we both loved it, and it was so good, but he was like so hyped on it. So when he dapped me up, he was like, worms tremoy.
That's amazing.
That dude just brings the good vibes, man. I love riding with him.
Words tremoy. Wow.
Precise.
So that one, definitely got something to say about that one, just because obviously it's not the cleanest land of a nose bonk switch bar ever. But again, to what we talked about earlier and brought up many times, it's my progression, and I'm stoked to see that in the video, even though I know there's dudes doing 3-mile long nose manuals to switch bar, I'm sure. Including that in that clip was just a cool way to not only have the nose bonk regular to land to quick crank flip, which I was really hyped on, but to have the nose bonk switch bar at the end to complement the regular nose bonk switch bar, I just thought was a cool way to put together that line. And then even though the land wasn't that good, I just thought it was cool that like I made it through the day and like pushed myself again to like do something that I wasn't that comfortable with.
That's cool.
So,
yeah.
Could we rewatch it again?
Yeah.
Like that one? Because I want to like give you and Krejmas like
you can
compliments
see
on that.
You can see a miss right there.
It's like this bar crank flip. You and Krejmas, again to Krejmas, man. Like I love the Well Eye so much, but I can tell like the way he filmed it. Also, with you choosing to do those two, that nose bunk bar to crank flip out, and it's like perfect. Like the way he filmed it, make it look so good. It's like it complements the trick and it complements everything you're doing. So it's like, yeah.
Well, I appreciate that, and I definitely like to, when I'm riding, I definitely like to take Zach into account and work with how comfortable I am with how close he can get and stuff like that. And even I might not be the most comfortable with where he's at, but I'm down to work with it because I know that it's 50-50. I know that a video is made of 50% of my riding and 50% of his skill using the camera, editing, all of that stuff. So I'm not ever going to be one to be like, no, you got to film it like this because you're in the way, like obviously I always, will bring it up like, hey, just so you know, you're in the danger zone, and then let him make that decision. But obviously when it works out, it comes out how you just said, like where it seems like the trick, how it was pulled and where he was at all at the same time kind of make the clip what it is. And that gets me stoked.
Yeah, him being that close shows like you landed on the second pad exactly, like perfect to do the crank flip out. Because if it would have been like, if you would have cased it, obviously, but you didn't. But it's like you landed so perfect. But him being that close showed like, oh, he only had like a very small space to be on. Like he's on and off, but also squeezed 2 tricks and 3 nose bump with the bar, with the land, with the crank flip out, and it's like perfect.
I appreciate that,
Killed
and
it,
that's
dude.
why I love filming with Zach, because he understands spots like that as well. You
Yeah,
know, like he
yeah.
understands that it's cool to show that the pad is short, and wants to be right there when I'm landing to show that like it's not like I'm getting an awesome long run up to do the crank flip out. That it's like as soon as I'm catching the bars, I pretty much have to pop in order to spin a decent crank flip.
Yeah.
And that's just, again, I just love working with the man. He's amazing at what he does, and it's cool to see it come together as it did.
Yep.
But and then at the end, obviously, the little weird catch on the switch bar wasn't my favorite, but again, like just
You
being able
progressing,
to,
man.
yeah.
Showing like the progression, yeah.
And that's how I take it, is I want to look back on it and be proud of like, damn, I pushed myself to do that.
Power move.
Yep.
So that one, shout out to Zach again. I mean, shoot, he kind of gave me, I had that in mind, the fakie to fakie tooth to cab, and I was like, man, what do I do with this? Like, what do I add? Because there's actually a 3-stair in front of that that a lot of people have used.
Going the other way, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
going the other way. So I was trying to come up the 3-stair and then do something and then hit the rail, like have the fakie tooth cab be the end of the line. And I was racking my head. Like we were probably at the spot for a good 30-40 minutes with me just being like, no, that doesn't work. No, that doesn't line up. I don't like that. Or, going through all the things that a spot gives that maybe, might have potential but ended up not having that potential. Sorry. And then, Zach was just like, oh, what if you did that and then kind of just made like a slight turn and then like whipped or did a trick up the 2-stair? And I was like, you're a genius.
Boom.
And
Boom.
I mean, just because in that moment, like I'm pretty sure we've all seen this spot been ridden a couple of times. A notable one is Jacob Cable's. I think he does pegs up hard 3 to manual 180 down the 3-stair that I was talking about. And, just to utilize a ridden spot in a different way, just again lends its hand back to what I was talking about earlier about like different eyes see spots differently.
Yeah.
And that's what made me stoked to get this clip and keep it for the part.
And also a filmer that works with you closely. I think Grant C, when we did the Unclicked with him, he talked about that with a lot of the We the People guys he worked with. Like with him filming with them, he can see like their capability just off of like studying their riding and filming them all the time. So I'm sure with you and Zach, he can see stuff that's like, oh yeah, maybe you can try this, and it'd be like not so far out or not too complicated that you can't handle it. So it's like, okay, that's a great idea, because he's complimenting your riding on top of like filming it. So
yeah, absolutely.
killed
And I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the projects that I'm currently working on is with Grant. So it's been really cool to be out riding with him as well and like understand his style of filming and all that stuff. And it's just been a really cool dynamic with Grant as well to learn and create that friendship. And it's just been really cool so far.
Hey. What is the project? I know what the project is, but I think so.
That would be
Yeah,
crazy if you knew what the project is.
Well, it's is it a paid video part?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
I mean, Grant is getting paid, yes. But
Well, no, I thought it was a.
like
I thought
you're
it was
talking
like
about
a
like a paid per view?
like an independent, like kind of the Nathan Why Not in the Trey section. I thought that's see,
does have potential.
Yeah.
We haven't really locked anything in yet, just because it's so young in the filming process.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically, I just wanted to film videos this year. Like that's a goal of mine, is just to get a couple out. And obviously with Zach's workload, I'm always down to go out with him. He's the man. He fucking kills it. But, his responsibility is also to film other people. And so I just kind of wanted to burn the candle at both ends and get out with Grant, and also just see what it's like to, work with other people. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, definitely not.
Just, it's been awesome so far, and again, there's nothing wrong with me and Zach or anything like that. I just wanted to get out there and, film with Grant just because he's available and wants to get it. And
he's
so
he's a machine all his own and his own set of spots.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just cool to
phenomenal
experience
rider
that,
as well.
Yeah. So it's cool to kind of get to know different filmers and work with different filmers as much as Zach's awesome and filming with him is great. And then now I want to see like, oh, maybe it could be cool with Grant in a different way because his steez and vision will be different, you know? So
definitely.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Cool. Yeah. I don't want sorry, just look at he's like grilling me now. Sorry.
No, dude, you're good.
We can take that out if you want.
No, dude, you're
spot
chilling.
guy, bro. The ledges were skinny, huh?
So that one there was
I like simplicity stuff, like where it's like just a spot. I'm not gonna add any extra spice. I don't need a 180 out, like that type of thing. Like
pretty much knocked that one out of the park with my thinking on that. I think that one was mainly about the spot, like the tire ride to Feeble and then quick up to Smith because that little 2-inch ledge
right?
was it's staggered. So that clip alone was just something that I was hyped on, and I didn't really want to do it anymore because I didn't want to take away from the fact that like as soon as I got off the tire ride, I was in the Feeble and I had to jump up to Smith to miss that little crunchy part.
You actually kind of sneak through, huh? Yeah, the back wheel sneaks on the back side of the rail.
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't even know that myself. I just was trying to look for any because it's close. Yeah.
Well, go back. What?
Literally.
Both. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, because there was a number of times where I bonked wheel off of that.
Okay.
Like, because it was coming up so quick. Because once you're in the tire ride, you're pretty locked into that speed before you get to the Feeble. So in that moment, I was just like looking for any situation to get me up onto that Smith. And I was just like, I don't need a 180 out. I don't need a bar out because like I wanted it to be about the setup there.
Yeah. No, it's one of those ones where it's like almost it could ruin the spot for certain people and it could make the spot for other people. Like one of those.
Provided a crazy amount of steez on it too. Like on a roll out. It's
I appreciate that.
You gotta watch the elbow drop, the left elbow there.
little boom ends out. There you go.
I think that was just to save my lean. Like I was like on the lean out there, so.
Goop.
Very hard trick.
I think that's
very
one of
hard
the.
Trick, bro.
I mean, I guess we talked about that earlier. With no part 3, trying to keep the progression going with something a little different. Been a while since I filmed the ice over hard 180. I mean, might be one of the few ever that I had filmed, and obviously another spot that's been pretty ran through. It's an amazing spot. I mean, I think many people can go there and still the spot will still provide clips. But this one in particular, I wanted to go over to Fakie, but a lot of tricks have been done to Fakie already. And I was like, well, I mean, it's got to be the ice over hard because Pegs over hard 180 and our Predator to easy 180 had been done. So I was like, well, I don't know how long it's going to take, Zach, but I'm about to pull a dusty one out of the bag and see what we can get out of it.
You did it so proper. That trick is extremely hard. I've done a few on a Subrosa rail, and it was like, how? Like, I don't even know how it works. But, like, looking at this, you kept the speed, and you have cat whipped out. Like,
that
beautiful.
was the battle, it had been so long that I'd done one, and obviously hopping from flat off of a downhill run up to ice, I didn't know what I was going to get. I was like, dude, and that's the cool part about working with Zach is he's down to let me kind of go through the motions because he knows that, like, I'm not just going to sit there and, like, struggle with the ice for 3 hours. He knows that, like, after a couple attempts, I'll know if I can get into a good over hard 180 or not. And so we can keep the day moving. So it's not like I'm not lying to myself saying like, oh, I'm going to ice over hard it and I'm struggling to get in the ice pick,
I like that.
Yeah. But
true
like you said,
professional, man, like that goes with, your thought process as a rider, but also not just being considerate, but just to know like there's more to being a professional bike rider than just like, it's a lot of things that go into it, but to know yourself and be like, well, I know early on if it's going to work or not, but I don't want to waste the day, so I can go out and get more stuff, or like we can check out other things to kind of keep the ball rolling.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. And that, as well as you only have so much energy for the day as a human being, whether you eat well or you don't eat well, that affects it, but you only have so much. And if I were to spend, I could spend all day trying to ice over hard 180, but I also try to keep myself in check when I'm trying a trick that maybe I haven't done in a while, or maybe it's a new one. I'm not going to keep, whether there's a bunch of people there or whether it's just me and Zach, like in this clip, I'm not going to like sit there all day and struggle icing the rail if I haven't even gotten a hard 180 over in like 30 minutes to an hour. I'm just going to be like, it's not today. Let's just move on, because I know that his time is just as important as anybody else's, and I don't want to keep him there while I'm like trying to figure out the ice over hard 180. I'd rather go to a skate park or something, get good at it or get better at it, and then come back. And that way it's like, okay, like I understand this now, rather than being like, oh, okay, like, oh, I got the ice and I'm not spinning it. It can just be like, oh, I got it. Boom, boom, fakie. Okay, now I can try the half cab whip. But if I'm sitting there just doing the ice over and over again and nothing's happening, I'm going to be like, let's keep it pushing.
Mental note, I'll keep that in mind. Like that's a
No, he's like 3 tries. He's like
Yeah,
3 tries.
of course. I know
3
how
tries if
funny
I
it
don't
is.
get.
You're
like,
funny, but no.
You're not.
no.
Don't
3
even
tries.
try.
3 tries and you're out and you're over it. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah. 3. I give
Yeah.
it like 3,
Yeah.
3.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
But if it doesn't, like with him, he's like, if I don't get past whatever point A in 3 tries, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, self-assessment, right? I mean, wherever that lies on the chart for you, right? Like, meaning, like, maybe it might take you an hour to be like, okay, I got it, or maybe I don't got it. There's no finite amount of time where it's like you need to figure it out in 10 minutes or you're wasting everybody's time.
Well, see, I always struggled with it where it would be like, or I'd be an hour in, and then what I learned in that hour, if I could just take that knowledge with all the energy that I started with at an hour,
Right.
I could pull it right now.
Right.
But I'm totally depleted, and I'm
Goes with the
smarter,
energy
but
of the
I'm
day,
weaker.
like you
You
said.
know,
Yeah.
like,
Right,
and
but
it's
then
like,
that's the beauty about just coming back the next day,
Yeah.
rather than still trying just for not
stubbornness,
pride, whatever it is.
And that
Because
comes with age, though. The willingness to like be like, hey, I'm not embarrassed, and I'm going to walk away right now.
Right,
You know, like
absolutely.
because
then you could end up with an injury.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like that's the thing. That's where my mind goes, is like, yes, do I have more information collected from trying this over and over again? Yes. Do I feel like I'm close? You're at that point where you make that decision, but also, do I have the energy to execute it in a way that A, I'm going to like how it comes out in the end result, or B, am I going to put myself in a risky situation because I'm so tired and I'm still pushing myself just for the sake of, I can't let everybody see me walk away from this. You know, like if you can detach yourself from that, I think there's a bit of longevity there.
I like that.
I don't know where the source of this information is, so I don't know no facts, but there's actually a study about football players, and when they got injured, they asked them how much they slept the night before, and it was like disproportionately they had slept less than they should normally do, and they slept like 5 or 6 hours,
Right.
and so it was like if they slept more, they were less likely to get hurt.
What?
Just because their energy and their mind and their body and everything was like more in tune, and they were actually like some connection with lack of sleep and energy and stuff like that
Absolutely.
to being hurt. And so
I
it's
mean,
the
it
same.
could be a lot of things, you know, because it also could be with. So imagine this: say you've been off the bike for a little bit for a minor injury. What's the first thing you want to go do? Ride your bike and ride it all day.
Yeah.
Right. So like think about that. So like you're saying with the football player not getting enough sleep. Maybe in that sense, he's just like, dang, I didn't get enough sleep, but tomorrow's important.
Yeah.
So I need to push harder because I didn't get sleep. And then now he's pushing harder than he would have if he got the sleep. And then now he's working extra hard and he's sleep deprived, which will end up in bad decision making.
Yeah.
In all these other things. And maybe I'm too, what's the word? Maybe I think too much about this stuff. But to me, I just think there's a time when you can make a decision and be like, you know what, I'm not getting close to this, and I don't think I'm going to get any closer, and it's okay to come back the next day, because at the end of the day, getting the clip the next day is not going to like make any difference, usually, unless it's like the spot's getting capped on site or you're on a trip, right? Then that changes things. But in this situation, the spot is close enough to where we could go back if need be, and luckily we didn't have to.
Yeah, luckily you guys got it.
Yeah, right. But yeah, ultimately stoked on that, how it all came together.
How many tries on the? How many times did you get the ice hard over?
It took a while, I will say. We were probably there close to 2 hours.
Okay, yeah.
But the ice over hard was happening often.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I was fishing for a good fakie.
Yeah.
That
waiting,
was the thing.
being patient.
Yes.
Yeah. Fishing, patience.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
No. It's
being
fine. It's
patient until I got a good fakie, because there was multiple times where I fakied and cabbed off the end, but my body position wasn't right for a cab whip, or my weight wasn't right, so it looked awkward. Because that's something I'll also do is if I pull it, but I could make it happen, but I'm not going to expend myself just to make it happen. I want to pull it how I vision myself pulling it, which is thankfully what we portrayed in the video. But, you know, there's sometimes when you're in that weird position and you kick it and you can still put your feet on, but I don't know. I don't really tend to like how that clip comes out, so I don't even bother running with it. Like, because sometimes I'll be in the fakie or be in mid clip and just stop and just be like, let's run it back, because that I don't even want to begin like that.
Right. That's good to hear.
This spot is fucking awesome.
God. Man, he went over the top of it too. Like back tire went over it too.
The spot speaks that first is over the top to the rail. Now I think Markel's Ice 180 on it is crazier because coming from the side is hard because the run up is so limited. Now I don't know what run up he took, but I just know that is nuts that he was able to get the Ice 180 out of it, because you are lacking a good bit of speed and it is like very hard to come from the side. Also, we had a super crazy situation with like the landlord and someone that lives there.
Yeah, I could see that. I think just seeing the marks on the side, obviously I was thinking when I first watched it, I thought grind. You know, like, and then the
that's
nose
how
manual
that vision started. Was grind.
Yeah.
But as I was speaking before, I was trying to do tooth easy, like left side tooth easy 180, but the side run up is so difficult to get to because of that like quick 180, take maybe a crank and then hop from a weird little bump, because like there's cement stairs, but then there's like that weird stucco situation right there. So I was having to hop from there, and it just was like all wrong. Like I was trying to make it happen, and just as we were speaking about before, I couldn't like get myself even close to the tooth easy 180. Like I was just toothing it to where I was like, no, I should probably do the nose bar, even though that was the scarier thing to me. But yeah, this was...
You should have 720'd out, like the building says.
Yeah, there's another one for you guys.
No street name, though.
Yeah, right?
Just look, 720.
We were riding it, and someone, a tenant of the apartments comes up and was very, very displeased with what we were doing. Rightfully so. No one wants this happening on their house. So she starts saying, I'm going to call the landlord. Like, you guys got to leave, blah, blah, blah. As we all do. We're like, okay, like we'll leave, but just like a couple more. So I'm like trying to run it back to get it done, because I don't want to have anybody mad or have her get any more pissed than what she was. But then next thing I know, landlord shows up while we're there still. And then the lady comes out immediately, like all like kind of, you know,
told you so.
Yeah. But the dude didn't pay any mind to us. Walked right past us, walked over to the lady. And the lady's, you know, giving him an earful, like, this always happens, which I'm sure it does. It's been ridden and skated before. You know, blah, blah, blah. All these people have been here making noise, ruining the property. And he was like, I don't know what you want me to do right now. You know, she was like, you need to call the cops, like telling him how to do it. And he was just like, I don't even remember the conversation verbatim, but it ended with him saying, I'll just put up a sign. And then the lady walks in. And like he goes inside to like check maybe, I don't know, something inside, comes back out and leaves. Yeah. Never says a word to us, never really told us that he was calling the cops, just got back in his truck and dipped off. And the like completed clip happened probably like 2 or 3 attempts after that.
That's amazing.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, we still had the like mad lady still like just right there through the door, but yeah, I mean, luckily we got it done, and the apartment didn't get any more hurt than what it was before.
Well, it should be like if you're defacing property, then the rent goes down, so she should be on your side.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, technically in this clip, no property was defaced.
Nice.
Rubber tire touched metal rail.
I like that.
Yeah.
And you got proof.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, stoked to get that one
I was
done.
just noticing I was like, oh, Zach took himself out of there. Look at him.
Yep. Master of the craft.
So good. Using those spots, man.
Yeah, that's a spot I have seen many times going to and from Huntington. One of the times being like when I was going there for physical therapy. This is in that area. And this is just one you see on the side of the road that you're just like, oh, that looks kind of interesting, but never really would stop to ride it. And then one day I like looked at it and I was like, man, there's grind marks on the trash can. And I was like, man, you could do something cool with that. And I don't know, I just like it. This kind of different looking spot. Nothing too crazy. Nothing to break.
I'm gonna point out something crazy about it. You wanna run it back to the beginning?
No, that's what I was dissecting it
right
myself.
Here.
That
Bike control.
Yeah.
The reason why I say that, because if you would have did a regular hanger and landed both tires on, it would give you less time on the first pad, right? So you did the hanger.
Front wheel lands
first,
there.
So it's like it
back
gave you
wheel
more
lands
time on
even
it.
further back.
Like the nugget on.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know why my mind loves that. I guess giving myself
the
time.
Aaron Ross up rail. Like how he do like one peg, two peg. Like he could do an up rail on something that was like shorter than a bike length.
Unreal.
That from as long back as I can remember, that always made sense in my brain to do the 1-2 to give myself time. So we were riding a spot recently. It's the circle pads in Compton.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of little short ones and then there's a big one, and oftentimes I'll like leapfrog my way from one to one, and people will always be like, dude, you're crazy for that. And for me, like, that makes sense. Like the dun and then like being able to not hop crazily high out of it, but I don't know why just the chicken nugget to pop makes sense. And in situations like this, it's incredibly useful to, again, as you said, make time up on the bench.
Yeah.
Because that's what I needed. That's what I was struggling with, was being able to get steep enough into the hanger to get my nose on and then give myself time. Because if I didn't commit to the hanger, I was going to either hang up wheel in the trash can or I was going to, like, as you can see, it gets pretty close there, or even like ice chink it, or obviously bonk it and end up in like some weird manual situation.
You made that one work. That was so sick.
I appreciate that. Also, first ever fakie nollie bar.
Wow.
Yeah, I just, again, one of those times when you stare at the spot long enough, I was just like, oh, this works. Like, this is what the spot calls for, so I'm just going to do it.
A gem.
Yeah, I was going to say, everybody loves it.
Can you go up, too?
You can go up. Yeah. I believe Nathan went up.
Monster video.
Yes.
Okay.
Ooh. Yep. Nathan went up.
Reference.
Yeah.
Above below. You guys got brains.
Yeah, dude. I put a lot of effort.
It wasn't above below. It was Monster welcome video.
Oh, even before above below.
I think.
Wow.
I could be wrong.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
That's something I tend to do, is put a lot of. Not only do I enjoy watching videos, but I continually watch videos just to prevent the stepping on toes of a possible ABD. Obviously, it's impossible to remember every Instagram video, every video that's ever been filmed and put on the internet, but I do put in a lot of effort to try to minimize that happening, just out of respect to other riders and their efforts put in. But sometimes it happens and you can't avoid it. But I just, I love watching videos and watching them over and over again, like DeMarcus probably does as well. Keeps your mind fresh on, oh yeah, that Nathan did that, right? So, but I don't know, it was just cool to get something on that spot, because crank arming and then like diving into that little bank was just like something that stood out to me.
Definitely sick. The kid, bro.
with my buddy Jake's construction vest on. He actually wore that construction vest in the banger of this video.
Yeah, that's what I felt like. It was like a
that was
prelude
the same day.
to Oh, okay.
Or later that day. And this was just cool because this was the last clip we filmed for the entire project. Was the one with the vest on.
Nice. So you did the banger first, and then and then you kept riding. You
because we showed up pretty early to get the last clip for this video.
Okay.
Just because of the spot going into a street, kind of wanted to minimize the amount of cars there, and it was at a school, so just wanted to have a lot of time there. And then once the banger got done, the last clip got done.
He doesn't like calling it a banger.
No, I struggle talking about myself in that way,
no,
you know.
Yeah.
But for the last clip, we got it, and we're like, oh, what do we do with the rest of the day? And Zach was down to stay out, so we ended up meeting up with all my homies in the LAX crew, and we met up with them at the spot of that clip, and we all just sessioned and hung out, and it was a good time. And then that was the last clip that we filmed for this part.
Nice.
So good.
So this is a good example of what we talked about earlier of me doing something over and over again in the beginning just because I didn't really like how it started with the Wally bonk.
Really?
Because that's one that can pitch you any sort of way. And there were so many times when I would get pitched weird or land weird, and I just wouldn't even continue. Like, I'd be like, nah, this ain't the one, Zach. And luckily, he's down to deal with me being like that, but it's just cool to finally land it how you want it.
Yeah.
With the momentum out too.
That was hard. Definitely with the Indian out was super hard. Definitely stoked on that one.
Yeah.
Just another spot that trying to utilize what was in front of me versus finding a more, I don't want to say stock setup, but something that was like, oh, you could do Smith nose bar Smith hard, whereas this was like, oh, like it would work with the little slanted thing, but I don't know. I just like showing up to a spot like that with no idea in mind and then being like, oh, this is the trick that works with the entire spot.
Is there etiquette with the Smith pull up? Like, is there?
I like to pay a little attention to it. I'm not one.
I mean,
to
it's
say
hard to avoid. It's actually, I mean, incredibly hard to pop out of a Smith without doing that.
The bunny hop motion.
So, but
I'm not too critical on it, but I do. If I do one where it's pretty prominent, I will go back and redo it. To a way.
It's too like it's like subjective to the spot too. Like if you're able to do it too, then it's like if you don't do it, then you're like selling yourself short on like not just doing it. And then if you want to use it, if you don't want to use it, but like if you can and it's good for the spot, it's like, okay, with this one in particular, it's like you had to pop up. So it's like, that's pretty sick that you're able to do it like both ways, whether you want to pop off or not. So
and that's kind of where my mind was at, was just like I don't ever see somebody do it and just be like, oh no, like that's bad or that's the wrong way. If that's how you perceive the spot and you want to use it, then go for it. But for me personally, with the Smith pop, as Ryan brought up, I try to minimize the amount of time that my back wheel's on the ledge. And if there are ones that it is on there for too long for myself and how I perceive my riding, I will tend to go back and refilm it to get like a little bit of a more swift pop up onto something.
Nice.
That one was cool. The spot was just short. Like the
Yeah.
little ledge was just so short that like diving into a I also call my pegs left and right. I don't call it switching regular.
Why is that?
This goes back to being in the van with Biz and Jason and then stemmed to my friend Jake. I started out grinding on the left side of my bike first, right foot forward, spin left, but left pegs. So goofy grinder. But then over time, being in the van with Biz, Jason, them, grilling me to no end about my weird grind side, I eventually learned to change it over to the correct side.
You literally got peer pressured out of being goofy.
I grind the exact same way.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, like dominant left side, left foot back.
Oh.
I probably got to get that.
I was basically telling him like that I pretty much grind the same way because I remember way back in the day, Florida, Baco. I remember watching you ride little baby Broc and 3 pegs at a time, maybe.
Might have been two still.
But left side, back foot.
Yep.
And he was doing flares and stuff, and I was like, oh dang, he grinds the same way I grind, like naturally. But mine was like I naturally grinding on the right side, but I used to break my chain. I couldn't get a left side drive, so it was like switch. So dominant side for me is the left side.
Yeah.
But to seeing that, to him transforming into like having 4 pegs and learning everything on the right side, and it was like, yo, he's dominant on both sides. And there's no like lack of it either. So
That's
it's not
crazy.
like you don't look at him like, oh, I know he grind left side. It's like, no, he's very dominant on the opposite side or on his regular side. And now even doing this, it's like that's still the opposite 180. It's like, and it's a drop, but it's still like you're utilizing it full circle because of the biz and everybody giving you crap about it. But on top of that, it's pushing you to be a more dynamic rider because you grew up riding everything.
Yeah.
So on
Tough
top
love.
of that, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and
Yeah.
I don't have any animosity towards those dudes, you know, because it was all done in a laughing, you know, way, and it was all just done just to, you know, give the young guy shit in the van. I mean, DeMarcus was there for part of it,
Yeah.
you know, like, and it was all good times, you know. Like, I don't have anything against those dudes. Those dudes are awesome. I love.
They will
being
get the
around
best.
them.
They will bring the best out of you, but
Yeah.
also like keep you on your toes. Like,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely, yeah. Shout out those dudes, man. But yeah, and then I just kind of put in a lot of effort to, you know, learn to grind on both sides. So eventually, it became not regular and opposite grind. It's just I tell people, hey, I'm gonna grind it on the right, or I'm gonna grind it on the left. You know, that way, and because that also is a way for me to steer clear of the me calling. If I say, hey, I'm gonna grind on the left and it's opposite, Biz and Jason would turn around and be like, oh, you sure it's opposite grind? And Jake, my friend Jake, is the same way. So I always make sure to steer clear of that still, just by calling it left and right.
That's funny.
Yeah. So yeah, this is left side.
Left side
switch.
hanger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautifully done. Did you hanger that at all first, or did you go straight into the 180?
I did hanger it a couple of times before then, just because I don't really. Again, I'm trying to push myself and progress as we all are, and don't usually spin switch too often out of many grinds. So in this particular situation, I was like, oh yeah, I can hanger it on the left, and instead of just, you know, hangering it or doing something else, or maybe even nose barring the spot, I was just like, oh man, maybe I'll just like left side hanger switch 180 it, and then I was just like, oh okay, yeah, this works, because even though it's not the biggest one ever done, it's still something new to me, and that's another thing that like is very prominent throughout the video, is just new things that I've never done and I've never showcased in my videos personally.
Nice. Very nicely done.
This clip.
Yeah.
So this clip has a few things I could say
man.
about it. I feel like I'm talking so much about it.
it's all
No.
good.
This is
like
this is about you.
We're
It's killing
geeking,
it.
but
Yeah.
it's all right.
Yeah,
That's
I was about to
okay.
say, we're going super
Yeah.
in depth here. So run it back, and I'm going to stop talking, but listen closely in the beginning of the clip.
Okay. I don't know if I caught it.
So there's a bell in the second angle. So it switches from the second angle. That's an alarm right here after this clip.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Hear that? So I set an alarm on my phone because we went back to this spot to ride with other riders. Speedy was there. A few other guys. I want to say Justin was there this day. And I had tried this before, and I knew it's very technical and it was going to take me a while. But for me, again, as we talked about earlier, about knowing how long, or not knowing how long, but like giving myself enough time to try it and know if I could do it or not, I set an alarm this day. And I was like, all right, I'm going to give myself an hour from this point to try it once I felt comfortable. Because, again, obviously I only have so much energy, and I know that in that hour I'm probably going to get close or land it, and if not, we'll just come back. So what you hear in the clip is the alarm going off as I'm landing the one.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I want to hear it again.
You hear it like,
Yeah.
dun, dun,
Was it in your pocket?
No, it was actually on the table right next to it. There's like a little lunch table, like kind of what would be to the left of the filmer. So
Oh, yeah.
to my left right here.
Watch the left hand.
Yeah.
Like, open it up.
Yeah.
Throw the ball and
Yeah.
catch.
That one
Yeah, so
was
good.
was one of the ones
It's a
where
tell what's coming, you know? Like,
Yeah.
oh, there.
yeah. That clip
So
was one where we struggled figuring out if that was going to go in the X Games part or not, because
yeah.
I have a similar clip in there where I do quick Manny 180 bar, fake manual cab bar. So we were like, do we do the nose bonk 180 bar to fake manual cab bar, or do we run with this one? But my banger in that video is a nose bonk bar, so we just didn't want to overdo it with too many front wheel clips, so we did it with the back wheel one.
Understandable.
Yeah,
Understandable.
so
Classic.
classic spot. Yep.
Big tall spot at the top.
Yeah,
too,
that is
man.
a tall ledge.
It doesn't look like it.
Yeah,
in
it doesn't
any
look in the video,
you
but
watch
in
ever,
person
but
is-
you're like, oh, this is kind of awkwardly tall.
Yeah.
Did you look at maybe? I was there once and thought maybe it's like, dang, it'd be sick if somebody did the hop on and grind up the other side, like hop on the ledge and gap to.
Ooh, yes, I mean that.
Oh,
that
wow.
could be very possible. Somebody that has high hops slowly.
Let's
so
think of somebody.
funny.
Let's see.
I don't know. Maybe this guy's
Who could grind left or grind right? You know.
No, I love it. Again, something that went to the spot and saw nose manual or nose hanger, however you describe that trick, and then you see that, you know, like that's just so sick to me. But yeah, quite possible. This day I was just that's all I saw, so that's what we came out with, because this was also after the crank arm into the into the bank spot.
And you handled this though so good.
Yeah, look how well backlit Zach looks there too. Look at
right, nice, almost like silhouette.
Nice little rim light. Yeah, look at him.
That's
like
another
he's shooting
thing.
a bazooka or something.
Yeah, Zach, like, I don't know if he does yoga or something, but like he must be incredibly flexible, because he's in positions sometimes where I'm like, that's got to be uncomfortable, dog.
He studied at the school of Jeff Z.
Yeah.
So probably.
Jeff, he gets down
stretch.
too. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Who's yelling?
Speedy G.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's like, that dude's like my little brother, man.
He's
that
dope.
dude's
Yeah, he
awesome
is
to be
sick.
around. Great energy to have at the session. Stoked on BMX. Yeah, that was him right there.
Ah, this one. Throw you for a loop.
Throwing back, throwing it way
Boom.
back.
No, that's sick.
So this clip.
Who was it? Like, didn't like Aaron Smith three-whip it or something?
I think it was Doyle.
Doyle three-whipped it. All
Yeah,
right.
I'm pretty sure it was
I'm gonna
Doyle.
catch some
Is
flack
it-
for that one.
Oh.
I think it was Doyle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot's been done.
Yeah.
Like plenty of. I mean, the spot is so fun.
Mhm.
Like,
Brad Sims whip.
yeah,
Yeah.
dude. So many awesome things could go down here still. I believe, just because it's a booter, but
Who didn't Chris Childs have a wild
flipped it.
Yeah. Chris Childs flipped it, but then somebody else had like a wild clip in this zone recently.
Yes,
In that zone,
I
in the
don't
back.
think we can talk about it because it's not out yet, but it's an insane clip done by somebody that you know. I'm not going to give it away. yes. Yes.
No, there was something recently here that it was
beyond what I know
that
of
is
him.
out. Yeah,
Yes,
that is
okay.
out. But
No,
I'll bleep this. So
Well,
Tom,
you can tell me about it
Tom,
afterwards.
Yeah, I'll
please
tell you
bleep the name that I just said.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure it's not out yet, but it's something amazing that happened on that little back banked
Yeah.
wall setup. So
Yeah.
nobody go touch that.
Oh yeah, I think I got an idea now.
Yeah.
So the old double whip. When's the last time you did a double whip? Simple session 17.
No, dude, I've been throwing them in here and there more recently. One of the ones that sticks out the most, that one that like I hadn't done in forever, was at the Vans Rebel Jam. What year was that? 2019.
That was a good contest.
That
man.
was a good
Fucking
contest.
COVID.
Yeah.
Is that the one in Huntington Beach?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, have it
Okay,
on the
yeah.
beach.
Yeah.
I just was like, this box jump's good. I'm gonna double whip it. Like
Yeah.
mid-run decision, hadn't done one in forever, and then from there I was like, oh, okay. And
It's like, all right.
I think I did one at that year's Battle of Hastings as well. And then this was actually a clip that I wanted in my X Games part and had the vision of doing in my X Games part, but I got hurt, so I wasn't able to follow through. So this one came out on this part, but I was still super.
That would have been a
hyped to
good
get
clip
it.
in the X Games part because I feel like it would have like
Curveball.
curveball. Yeah. That would have
So-
been a good one.
I mean,
But look at
either
those
way-
neck. Let's look at those neck muscles right there.
Yeah, dude.
I was just hyped because.
Oh,
yeah. Let's finish
Oh,
on this
yeah.
and we're gonna
Yeah.
go into that. Yeah, I was just hyped because the spot's so good that like you could float a whip,
Yeah.
and like my first few attempts, I just kind of double whipped and just land on my feet just to make sure. And this was the first pulled attempt.
Yeah.
And I was super hyped on it and the way I landed it, but something in my head was like, do it again and catch it in the air. Like trying to like, full original like park style me
Yeah.
was like, you catch it in the air and then land. But actually I double dribbled the next one and I was like, we're good, we're good. Like full on like back wheel bouncing on the ground. So all right. Yeah, dude. This spot clip day was interesting.
It's pretty crazy down there, yeah.
Dude, yeah. So, in the direction that I'm facing is like a full-on homeless camp. This leads into a riverbed. There's every nasty thing you could imagine down there.
All types of substances.
Yes, from pigeon shit to needles to used toilet paper to pee and poo and everything. And that clip that played before is just the exact perfect scenario when you say, I
am unhappy.
I don't want to fall in that. And I fell in that. Like, look,
Is that a good?
there's so much, like, it's covered in, not only is there stuff there, but it's coated in, like, river dust. Dude,
You can see you're like, don't breathe in.
It's like,
Yeah.
no, it's like, no, I just fell in.
not breathe in. I was scared I was gonna cut my hand on glass or a needle, and it doesn't show it, but I like tripped there. I wasn't like falling there. So basically I got caught up on the bank, and you know those falls like when you're trying to run out but your bike's in your feet and it trips you and it trips you again.
Yeah, the bike is fully wrapped around your ankle now.
How in the world did I manage to trip perfectly to land
From
right
all the way over there.
Because as you can see around it, it's a little bit better. Like, it's not the
Yeah, it's not too
immediate
crazy.
pile of who knows what. But anyways, it was hot, a weird hot November day, so I was sweating. I don't know if anybody's ever fell in anything that's dry when you're sweating.
Oh, yeah, it just sticks
But
to you.
I was coated in whatever that is. And I didn't want to think about it. I knew what it was because I saw what was around it. And yeah, the make came after that, obviously. But yeah, that was just having to push through that.
Taking street riding to another level. It's like you got to be, when you're riding in the city, you have to eat out a trash can once a week to
Yeah.
get your
Wall
street cred
shit.
up.
Dude.
Take a wall poop.
Yeah, man, that was not awesome. Because I swept, like, you see at the bottom's clean. I swept all that with a branch. I was like, okay, if I'm going to fall, I should fall at the bottom of the bank. So I'm going to sweep it all into this nice little pile, as you can see at the bottom of the right of the screen.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, we didn't want to fall there. We wanted to fall in the pile of who knows what in the corner. And,
Did you leave the bike down there? Just like,
dude, everything. And that was just, I think that was either excitement or frustration of the result of me getting in, falling
Frustration
in shit,
that you had
pretty
to go
much.
that you had to go get tested.
Yeah, like it was that serious to me. Like in that moment, I was like, dude, like I might have just picked up something.
Yeah.
Because it's rough. Like you put your hands down, you could cut, scrape, and not the place to be cutting and scraping.
yeah.
Yeah,
You handled it, though.
yeah.
Oof.
Almost smoked
good.
that thing.
I saw you posted
dude.
something recently about that, right?
Yeah,
Like, it's way closer on the thing you posted on your story, I believe, or like
I
on
posted a second angle of I posted on my story. It was a second angle of me panning and showing the tire mark, and it's
In front of the
probably
camera,
like,
right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like 2 to 3 inches, and it's
Yeah.
on the other side of the fence. So I don't know why I chose to slide like that, but yeah, that would have been an expensive make. But
Gary's hyped.
super awesome moment to ride that spot with Gary.
Yeah.
Me, just growing up riding, seeing Gary kill it for so many years, it's still so awesome to ride spots with him and share 2 teams with him. He's an amazing person to be on trips with, to ride spots with. So getting to ride the spot with him and have him there that day just meant a lot. And it was just really cool because I was definitely going through it, and he was right there with me, cheering me on, because that did not come easy. Just because I don't know if many of the viewers tire ride or have tire rode, but sometimes you get locked into going for too long and having to bail into more obscene, treacherous crap.
Yeah, that's pretty wild down there.
Was just not turning out too good for me.
I feel like you need to give it a little more 30% more sweep.
Yeah.
Because
It's like he's
just in the future, be like, this is good enough, and now I'm going to go 30% more.
Yeah. I'm glad you noticed that. I'm real big on
Bring a leaf
sweeping.
blower.
Yeah, sweeping the area. Funny story. Tyler Fujii from LAX has a leaf blower, has all the tools in his car, but every time we pull up to a spot, he'll leaf blow it first. It's awesome. But
nice.
that's what got me into sweeping the spot, at least in the zone where I think I'm going to be landing, just so you don't get any dumb rock in your hand. At least you slide across the pavement kind of a little bit smooth. So that spot is, you're right. I should have swept 30% more after looking at this angle.
I want to ask you too, because like we talked about the left side, right side when it comes to pegs. And jumping onto this, it is your opposite side to jump to.
Correct.
But being that you say you started grinding left side, it's still like kind of you're relatively, you can relate to going to the left side, but it's still your opposite stall side.
Exactly.
Like in the sense of turning. So it's kind of tricky. So if you're doing a tie ride down a rail, sometimes you can approach it from the right, sometimes you approach it from the left, but you're familiar with it. But going up a bank and jumping into the left side tire ride, is that tricky for you?
Very much so. That is what I struggled with the most, was getting a long enough tire ride, like past the, I guess, second upright from the right on the end, because I was struggling to commit to get on top of the rail, because even though I can jump into left side grinds easily, jumping all the way up left side tires, and like you said, stalling is kind of foreign to me. I wasn't a big coat, or what's the word? Like I didn't
like
stall.
Stuff,
yeah, exactly. I wasn't doing that very much when I was younger. So this was a little bit awkward for me to get into that position. And then, as I was saying earlier, sometimes when I would commit, I would go damn near off the end.
Yeah.
So like whip wasn't even close to happening. And I don't know if many people whip out of tire rides, but it's one thing to tire ride coming straight off, but like having to kind of like
lean away from it.
Yeah, lean away 90 in whip. There was quite a few times where I like almost dead whipped that somehow made it around, but that was something that I struggled with a lot on this, was the battling the spot in that way, because I feel like if I could have gone right off the end, I just would have hopped and whipped and we would have had a clip.
Yeah.
But in this situation, like being able to make it back into the bank was quite the scare.
Yeah.
Especially because it's quick. Like it's not, it is rounded, but like you're down and out.
Yeah, it's probably way more abrupt in person too, because like the bank looks like it's long enough, but when your bike is over it, you can tell that it's really short. Like,
yeah. And it's, like I said, that everything of the rocks and roundedness and weird cuts and edges, like, because when I land it, if you play it forward, like I cheat death by hitting my peg on the like cinder block ledge right there.
Oh wow.
Like I was riding down it and I had to like swerve myself out of the way.
Do you feel like it would have been easier?
How close is the fence too?
Yeah, how close is the fence?
Not like over grind is weird.
Okay.
Like maybe over pegs works, but like anything like up
You couldn't
there,
sit on it. You couldn't stand up on it, like type thing.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Yeah. That is freaky.
that one was
envisioning like looking at my front wheel when you go to push into it to like try even imagine doing anything into a bank.
Dude.
Like
it was just, and that's what it was, because it wasn't just like a whip, land, roll away. It was like whip, land, like prepare to ride your way down like a steep, sharp bank. And I was in no man's land. I was just like digging in the bag of like, is this the one? Every
part
time
of you probably had to overlook like
sorry, Max just out on audio right there.
A part of you probably had to overlook like there's like a split second of you committing to like actually hopping and doing the whip, to being focused on the whip and like letting go of like your focus on the tire ride. Was that tricky for you at all?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
I mean, I think for a lot of people, in that scenario, especially going 90, like I had to get my weight going that way. So I sort of had to have some sort of lean there in order to get myself to hop in that way. Because a few of the whips I kicked, I was danger close to the rail. And I knew that one of the ones I committed to, I had to like lean and hop. So you're right. I had to kind of like block it out of my mind that my tires are going to be there when I hop. So you don't do I call it the Mr. Potato Head. Like when you hop and it feels like your arms are going to come out of your body. Yeah, so I just had to like disconnect myself from that, and luckily we had a make, so I was really hyped to walk away with that one that day.
You got Gary's face in the back. Bro.
Yeah,
I
dude.
love it. That's so good.
Yeah.
And the bus stop hop. So I guess I started off by saying this was going to be the original banger from my X Games part.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yes, again, one that I wasn't able to get to due to injury. But super stoked to still come through and get this done. This was shown to me by Zach and Scott during that time, and then I just kind of had it on my radar ever since.
Is that Jake with the vest on?
That's Jake with the vest on, and then that's Tyler Fuji to his right, blocking traffic in the street, because obviously I'm jumping right into where cars are.
Yeah.
And it's not super active, but cars are there. And with spots like this, I don't want to really be thinking about if a car's going to be there or not, because then that's going to take away from me committing.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
we see a
like,
lot of that with skateboarding. You know,
Correct.
skateboarding is like they kill it. A lot of people kill it, but I've always wondered like you see so many close calls in the skateboard world from that kind of stuff. But I
Right.
feel like in BMX we've been like keen enough to kind of like be on top of it, but you can never be too safe. So it's always better to have
Absolutely.
somebody there. Yeah.
Well, and it was cool because I mean those guys, Tyler and Jake, are two of my closest friends, you know, and I just knew that they would like block traffic and pay attention and not be like on their phone or, you know, doing something else that might let a car slip by, you know, because I'm sure you guys have been around people that might be car watches sometimes and they're, you know, checking Insta, not really paying attention. And what's the point at that point? You know?
Exactly.
So having them there was really cool amongst just doing something scary with your friends around you is cool as well. And, they blocked traffic, and I mean, it was the kind of sort of thing where we would just wait for a red light, and they would walk out, and I'd be like, "All right, here's either like I would be like, all right, I'm gonna do a run up, and then I'm gonna go." And this was
Heavy,
the one
man.
time I jumped to the bus stop.
One and done, thankfully.
Yeah. Yes, thankfully.
Was the construction outfit as like, what was the...
Just so we wouldn't alarm police that
Okay.
we had people in the
road.
in the roadway, and because it was only supposed to be Jake, and then Tyler was hitting the walk sign to
Okay.
promote the red light. But then when I guess a few of the times that I like ran up to it, I was like, I think I'm gonna go all the way across, not all the way across, but like I could potentially go into the other side of the street. So I had Tyler kind of go out there as well.
Understandable.
But then before this, so there's I guess you can't see it, but it was at a school, and then there's a parking lot right there. So I actually set up some benches, and there was some caution tape. So I pretty much set up this spot in the parking lot right there to the left. You can kind of see a piece of caution tape there.
Yeah.
Just because this was the first spot we hit that day. Like I had gone like cruise Cherry Park for like 10 minutes before Zach picked me up just to kind of get warmed up a little bit, and then I rode the parking lot here just because no one really wants to hop on a bus stop first thing in the morning, you know? So I set up this little bench situation where obviously I was hopping onto the bench, or actually, no, sorry. I was hopping from flat over the caution tape onto a bench, which the bench was the bus stop.
Oh,
And the
okay.
caution tape was the rail.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, got you.
Yeah.
And it was on movable objects, so I could play with the height. So I went over, measured that, put the height on the caution tape, and then just kind of practiced a bunch, hopping to the side, just to get my mind right.
Confidence things.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and then through
understandable.
doing that and like just kind of hopping off, I was like, man, with this speed, I might be going into the other lane of traffic.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I did that a couple times. Did quite a few run-ups, and then eventually it was just we're gonna do this or we're gonna not.
Yeah.
So I just fucking
Do you have
pedaled at
any?
it.
Do you have any sort of like 3 run-up rule or anything like that? Or?
With this one, I was confident that I was gonna do it.
Yeah.
It was just gonna be when you get that nice shot of adrenaline and that right shot of like it's the one was when I was gonna do it. Like
Cool.
it wasn't for this one specifically, since I'd seen it before and came back and looked at it and was like, yeah, I can do this. It was just all right, we're gonna make it happen today. You know, there was no time constraint or anything on it. It was just like, I know I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna do it soon.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So
What was the scariest part about it for you?
having the right speed to make it onto the top of the bus stop without
It's
overshooting
far.
or casing.
Yeah, because like when you land on it, it's like you land.
It's a
on it.
high hop too, dude.
Yeah.
Look at that hop.
Well, so it's again one of those situations like the green rail to roof spot that we talked about earlier, where do you go slow and hop high and then kind of lily pad yourself off, or do you go fast, hop early, and then skip off? So I was kind of playing with that in my head, but luckily that setup that I made with the caution tape and the little bench helped me kind of figure out that speed. So it made me feel really confident here. But it's crazy because I kind of had to take a slight angle to get on the top of it, because if I would have went straight, like if I would have shot more, I guess at less of an angle, I would have had to hop higher, but then I would have had less time on the top of the bus stop.
Honestly, I think the swerve, not being able to have a straight run up to it would have, like, even if everything else was good for me, not having a straight run up to it would have talked me out of it.
Yeah, I mean, it was
look how angled you are right beforehand, like a millisecond.
Yeah.
Couldn't bother. Be out.
I mean, again, the thing we talked about, the back to front thing helped me out with that.
Yeah.
you know, like that sort of situation really helped me like have confidence throughout trying it. And yeah, it just was cool. Like it just felt right. You know, Zach and Scott were set up. Jake and Tyler were there doing their thing. I had all my boys with me, and it was just time to close out the video. And yeah, this was the second to last clip. How we said earlier, the one with the construction vest. This was the second to last clip, and the next day I flew home to Louisiana for Christmas.
Ah, so good.
So
hell yeah.
Yeah, I was incredibly terrified. I mean, you know, there's no time for me as a rider when I'm looking at something like that I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm not scared or nervy at all. You know, like there's still times when you're just like, man, this is risky, you know? So
seems like you trust your skill over being scared a lot of times when it comes to particular spots like that. I'm sure you're probably like, I'm going to try it, but it's not if, but when, but also just trusting like you got it over like the nervousness of being like, what could go wrong, right? So
absolutely. I mean, you know, that I think that comes with the risk versus reward assessment. You know, in that time, like I knew that like I wanted to do it. It was something that was in reach because again, and this kind of brings it all back full circle. Like we had to strike then. Like that was the last day to get a last clip for the video. Like because we up until that point, the tires to down whip in or 90 whip was kind of the bigger clip that we had to end off the video, and we were okay with it, but it wasn't really that like punch that we wanted. And we had gone to something the day before, struck out. So this was the last day before I flew home to Louisiana for Christmas break. Zach was busy with other stuff to get the video out in time that we wanted it. So we had to strike, get that clip. Yeah. And then, so yeah, I guess to answer your question, long story short, yeah, I had to overcome the fear by just trusting myself that I knew I could do it.
Confidence.
Yeah.
Confidence is key.
In that moment, yes. Because I urge anybody, if you're gonna go try something and you're not fully confident in your ability and you're looking at it and the risk is high, just come back. You know, just come back when you're confident, or set up or do something like I did, set it up somewhere else and get comfortable with it, and then go back with that confidence, because that, like as a whole, makes it a easier process for you, the filmer, everybody there. Because if you're just trying something on a whim just because you want to send it that day, I don't know. I just don't like seeing people get hurt.
Well, I was going to ask you, did you want to leave anybody with like some good words on like direction on filming and stuff? But you already handled that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, I feel like it's been a little bit of a clinic on like methodology of the way Broc approaches things and stuff. So
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Cool.
I mean, this
definitely
is
a deep dive. Like kind of like I said, geek, but we're all geeks.
Yeah, appreciate that. So. Yeah, man. I mean, like I love this shit so much. I live it, breathe it. All day, every day, even when I'm not supposed to, I am. And yeah, man, I just I put a lot of effort into putting videos together for myself and with Zach. We love it, and yeah, I like to put out stuff that gets people stoked to go ride. Like when people message me and tell me like, "Yo, I watched your video and it made me want to ride," that gives me a sense of success. Not like oh, your video broke the internet, or like, oh, like craziest video of the year. Like, I appreciate that. Yes. Like obviously anybody that takes time out of their day to watch something that me and Zach created is huge, but being that we created it and it made somebody want to go ride their bike is like the ultimate for me.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. No, that's cool.
Well, you guys did it.
Bangers, not last clips. No, Hell yeah, Broc. Thank you for coming down.
Yeah, no
we
worries.
appreciate it. And then we'll get you back. We'll get you back on another time.
Yeah.
We'll get an updated Unclicked one of these days.
Absolutely, I would love that. Thank you guys for your time and for answering my little questions here and there. I appreciate it.
No, that's cool.
Awesome. Hell yeah, boys.
Yeah,
appreciate you guys.
Thank you, sir.
Sick.